Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this follow-up video about the ancient trees of life we once had. These huge, giant silicon trees is, in my viewpoint, actually 100% real. And those of you who are following my channel is, of course, aware of those earthquakes reports I'm making, where I take the sub-zenith points of the sun and moon, and you can see the pattern in the earthquakes. They're very clear. It's how close the sun and the moon are. It's often very a larger earthquake, and then you see kind of rumbles around in the ring of fire, which is kind of their root systems, actually. So there's a lot of interesting things going on there, also in the jet streams about how everything's working together. And I will, of course, look more deeply into these matters as time goes by. Is very, very interesting. And this video here, of course, I made today is about some other findings I made, because there's a lot of interesting things going on with these mountains and how the dynamics of our Earth actually are working. Yeah. But first here I will show you a little animation about the Nordic mythology. It's actually very interesting, and I will let you watch this first, and then I will comment later again. Enjoy this little animation by this Norwegian gentleman. As we all clearly can see, the Nordic mythology clearly backs up both flat Earth and the mountain as huge, ancient, giant silicon trees, or what we will call them, trees of life. And even my next claim that all the waters on our plain is coming from these mountains. After they was cut down, all the water was simply spread around the whole Earth, and we got this coverage of 71% of water around the plain. They were simply contained inside these huge ancient trees. They were so huge we can't even comprehend how big they were. And they was cut down because they kind of gave us all. So that's very evident in my case. And there's a lot of interesting things going on. You have a thing called inversion of clouds, where they kind of lay very low. And what I will say with this is that clouds simply are not steam, because if you look at cloud temperatures, they're going from 32 degrees Celsius to minus 18 degrees. And we all know when we are boiling water in our house, what's happening, it's rising, and it's, of course, if you stick your hand inside this kind of steam, it's hot and you will get burned. But clouds are not that. They're carried up by the dielectric magnetic energy. That's the opposite of the sun's, that's creating warmth, like the moon is also creating this kind of cold dielectric magnetic energy. And I will... my claim is that the mountains are creating this kind of energy too. This is so simple, because they can kind of create clouds around them. We all know about Mount Everest and these places where the mountain climbers can very, very suddenly be caught by cloud generations very fast, and the winds are going very fast. And if you look in the jet streams, the higher you come up, and also the voltage is rising for each meter, like I showed in this Iron Power group, who are harvesting the nature electricity. So every meter you come up, it gets higher in voltage, and up here you have this cold winds and the cold magnetic energies. So it's going faster and faster around up there, and it's also colder. So it's very interesting. So you can very easily say the clouds are generated by these mountains. Dielectric magnetic energies, which properties we know as cold. Of course, cold and hot, I will not say that don't affect the wind streams also, because we all know what happens when heat and cold meet each other. But again, I think that the more overlapping power in this is the dielectric magnetic energies, which you see, like when I showed this in the video with the jet streams, you have a very strong one in the middle and in the edge points. And it's like, if you look at these magnetic vortex and toruses and what they're called, there's many good graphics on how that is working. And it's the same. They're carrying the moon and the sun and all the stars. They're carried by this electric energy. Some of them are just sparks, like the shooting stars and so on, going forward and back. In my book, this is simply just electrical sparks we are seeing flying forward and back, or also these comets and what they call them. That's very normal celestial events. It's not even events, it's sparks. But that's my theory, and I cannot, of course, not prove it. But back to this about the mountains, creations of the clouds. It's very evident, and also, as you can see in the video, I have included in this video, you can clearly see, if you notice, the mountain itself is emanating a kind of steam, and this could be from, it has a kind of going on with some lava and so on. It could be both a waste pile, on. It could also be a tree stump, which has so much energy, so it generates heat. And nevertheless, it comes a little bit of steam up in the top. But if you look in the left of the upper hand of the corner of the video, you can see how the clouds are generating out of the thin air. And of course, we all know there's water in the air, a lot of water in the air. And what that I think happens is that this dielectric magnetic energy the mountain contains, that kind of binds and create the clouds, as you can see. And then, of course, the jet streams and the winds are carrying all these clouds around our plain. It's as simple as that, I actually think. And if you look at rivers, That's the next thing interesting. I was been wondering a long time. It can simply not be true. There's rainwaters collecting and then it's flowing down in this river and out to the oceans. Because if you take the Nile, for instance, it's look at the picture I've enclosed. It's sand all over. Where's the rainwater coming to generate all this? No. It's coming straight from these mountains from inside the core of the earth. That's for sure. There's no doubt about that. All the waters are coming from these mountains. And you can see it everywhere with these rivers. They are everywhere. It's the same pattern all over. Rainwater, simply not enough rainwater could generate these amount of flows we have in the water going out to the oceans. It makes absolutely zero sense. And if you look at the other little video I've enclosed, the devil's kettle, you can actually see how the water is disappearing inside, and they cannot even figure out how it's disappearing. No, of course not. And then you have this phenomenon called the aquifer, where they said, hey, water's coming out of the rocks. And they will, of course, say it's groundwater and so on. But the waters are also all around the earth, because the root system, like the Ring of Fire, these water lines, they can expand all over. I cannot tell because I have not X-ray vision, but I can tell this much. This water is definitely from the root systems and was a part of the tree of life. There's no doubt about that in my mind whatsoever. It's very, very interesting. And one funny little thing, when salt is one of the minerals who are the binding between us and the tree of life still. So salt is a good thing. Buy Himalayan salt or salt from a mountain. That's the best thing for your health. That's a little tip for you there. And you can see also the tree of life. Once there's this myth called manna fall from heaven. And what I suspect, is that these trees once gave us all. And that's why these Luciferians cut them down, because it was too easy alive. They want us all inside this control system. And if there was tree who was like giving us all we needed, because this manna was described as white, and when you ate it, you got everything you needed, and it was the best flavor ever. So why did you need anything else? Today is a bad joke of food compared to what this was once. And you can see now that the trees has been cut down. All we get, all we live from, is still from them. All the minerals, all the metals, everything. We are actually still 100% dependent of these trees of life. That's the kind of ironic. They cut them down and we still have to use them to survive. So that's the creator. He is in full work here. This is not only my mind. I'm always asking for help to find my knowledge, and I'm very humble with this. And I'm sorry I'm so slow to put it out, but I'm really trying to get it right for you. And of course, it could be out of the box theories for some of you, but I urge you all to look inside what I'm claiming and do your own studies. Of course, do not trust me. Not at all. And another interesting thing, there's a phenomenon called perpetual snow, and that actually means everlasting, and that you also have on top of a lot of these mountains. Simply snow pouring down all the time. And that's, of course, again, you see the rise in height, and then you have this dielectric magnetic energy up here, who's very high up here. And of course, that will create snow like the clouds. That's also a part of it. It binds the water into this kind of energy, because you can see clouds are not steam. They are not that hot. So it makes absolutely zero sense what they're trying to tell us. Yes, and one funny little thing more, as you see in the video with the Nordic mythology, Odin, the one-eyed, slayed the trees. And again, Odin, the one-eyed, where is it this one eye came from? Oh, yes, we all know those types. So Odin, I'm sorry, as a Dane, I think this Viking mythology is simply just one of the first attempts for a New World Order government. And they have been done it so many times. I've been repeating this over and over. Every time they are close to putting everything together, the creator puts everything apart, because he has the full control. They can think, they can play, but again, it's our humans. If we play along this game, if people are willing to kill for a paycheck, then they have power. If people one morning realized, if we do not kill for a paycheck, then this system is over. And then we'll have to stop and say, everything, we stop all over again. Everybody should have a right to a place, to a piece of earth to live, to where you can put your soil in the ground, you can build your house, you live with your family, you stay there, and you have a good friendship and all this. But they have spread everything around, divide and conquer tactics. So that was also why they cut down these trees, because, as I say, they gave us all. So in my book, I'm so convinced, I'm fully convinced that all the waters we have on our plain is coming straight from these mountains, and is still doing so. And all the cloud generation is happening from the mountains' dielectric magnetic energies, and also, I think, also the moon are also creating some of this, because it has the same cold properties. So I expect it's more that than the sun. The sun is doing a lot of other good things. And also one funny little thing, if you look at the cloud temperatures, they are lower the higher you get up, and actually that's closer to the sun. so the energy, the dielectric magnetic energy, it's kind of manifests more down to the ground level, where the other magnetic energy is where we are standing. We are like that you are called gravity. We are pulled down by this plus magnetic energy, the warm one, if you call it. So that's what's binds us here. And you can say we are living on Mother Earth, and the Father in heaven is giving us all, because He's giving us the life, and the Mother is giving us life also. So it's everything is included in the Creator's gift to us, and it's poetic, and it's very, very pretty. And I think I'll stop for now, because I'll get emotional, because it's so very pretty gift we have been given. So I hope you enjoyed this little video, and do the studies in these in what I'm claiming. Don't take my word for it. Look into it. Thank you for now, and goodbye.
In northern Minnesota, the Brule River comes to a forked waterfall. One side is well behaved, goes over the edge, and then flows downwards to Lake Superior. The other side goes into a big hole, at which point this river flows into this massive hole, at which point it is never seen again. All we know is that half of the Brule River disappears into the Devil's Kettle. People have tried to figure this out. Scientists have dumped dyes, hundreds of ping pong balls, GPS trackers. They've even just shoved logs into this hole. The expectation is that it would come up somewhere in Lake Superior. But none of the things people have tried to track the flow of this water have worked. They simply disappear. What is especially frustrating and confusing for geologists is that this really shouldn't be happening. Geologically speaking, northern Minnesota is full of holes, sometimes called kettles or cauldrons. These are places where harder rocks get trapped in a softer depression. They swirl around, and they sort of carve these deep potholes. These can be big. They can be 30 feet deep, plenty large enough to suck an unsuspecting swimmer to their demise. But what they don't do is turn into miles of underground tunnel. If all of this were happening in, say, limestone, it would make perfect sense. The water would have eroded a passageway and created its own kind of tunnel. But this isn't limestone. It's a much harder rock called rhyolite. And rhyolite doesn't form tunnels, at least not naturally. So there's only a few explanations. One possibility is that maybe there's a fault line there. But this isn't a trickle of water. It's half a river's worth of water. A fault line would have to be enormous enormous to accommodate that level of water, and there's no evidence for a fault line anywhere near there. There's a second theory. Maybe the kettle has drilled far enough down that it had a lucky encounter with a lava tube left there from millions of years before. But there's a small problem. Rhyolite doesn't make lava tubes, and even the basalt, which is far, far below, it wasn't the right kind of lava flow to create such a tunnel. In a lot of ways, we know the answer. The river isn't defying physics. You know, it's flowing downhill and almost certainly ending up in Lake Superior. The thing that has everyone frustrated and confused is how. And the harder that scientists and geologists try to solve this mystery and then fail, the more mysterious Devil's Kettle becomes. Where's that water going? Where's it going? Subscribe here and watch more videos here. This wasn't worth it.